welcome to Hardtalk India. In theory, the Samajwadi Party and the Congress-led United Progressive Alliance government are allies, but in fact they have so many serious differences and disagreements, they often seem more like rivals. So what exactly is the nature of their relationship? That's the core question that I shall put today to the General Secretary of the Samajwadi Party, Rajya Sabha MP, Amar Singh. Mr. Amar Singh, you formally told the President of India that you're supporting the Congress-led government, but you often have so many disagreements and differences with them. Is yours a troubled relationship?
Karan, I'll be lying if I say there is no trouble. I share a very warm and cordial relationship. Definitely there is a troubled relationship, but nonetheless there is a relationship.
Who is the trouble with, the government or with the Congress party?
I think I've got many friends in government. They don't want to openly admit, but they are very helpful and they keep relationship clandestinely because they don't want to invite the wrath of the High Command. So I think that it is emancipating from the top, from the party, not from the entire government.
So the problem is with the Congress party?
Congress party, and I will say problem in Congress party, everything is decided from the top. So I will not like to name the person because I'm a gentleman, I've given a word.
But the problem comes from the top?
Problem comes from the top, definitely.
There is a general perception that before the elections, when the Congress party thought that it probably would need Samajwadi support, they were accommodating. After the elections, when they feel they can do without your party, they are starting to ignore you. Do you share that perception?
It is not perception, Karan. You are the first person with whom I'm admitting the truth and bitter truth. Mr. Natwar Singh and Mr. Ahmed Patel were formally appointed by Congress President to formally talk to me and keep me in good humor. So every day, morning, evening, they were talking. The moment result was declared, and as per their assessment, we were not needed in spite of holding 40 numbers in Lok Sabha. Me and my alliance, we and our alliance with Ajit Singh ji, they thought it is irrelevant and just not required to have any truck with us.
This has upset you?
No, not at all, because this has, as a matter of fact, made me realize that there is no place for emotion in politics. There is no place for politics. Is very cruel, practical reality.
But the truth is that Congress has not treated you fairly.
Well, we are not dependent on Congress treatment. In spite of their treatment, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Sonia Gandhi ji and Mayawati ji, three of them were sharing a common vision program how to fix Samajwadi Party, how to fix Mulayam Singh and Amar Singh. That was their common minimum agenda, and everybody was as if singing chorus in the state of Uttar Pradesh. We are not because of them, we are in spite of them.
Quite right. You don't depend on Congress for anything.
Well, this will be an arrogant admission that we don't need Congress for anything. Everyone needs everyone. So I will not be as pompous as Congressman has become or as arrogant as they have become. All of us need each other, but Congress does not have any tolerance when in power. They have shown this in the past, they are showing it now also.
The irony is that were it not for the fact that the Samajwadi Party badly defeated the Bharatiya Janata Party in Uttar Pradesh, there could be an NDA government sitting in Delhi today. Do you think the Congress gives you recognition and credit for this?
Karan, BJP used to be 58. From 58 it came down to 28. From 28 it came down to 10. Had there not been this debacle of BJP, by our effort, we defeated Murli Manohar Joshi, Vinay Katiyar and Chinmay Anand, then two historical events would not have taken place. Sonia Gandhi would not have got opportunity to shun power and attain sainthood, which she claims to acquire now, and Dr. Manmohan Singh ji would have never become Prime Minister. We are not given any credit for this. On the contrary, time and again we are being discarded, rejected and very shabbily treated.
Discarded and rejected?
Yes.
You mean those words?
Yes, yes, I really mean those words.
Let's go back to where the problem started. Let's talk about that dinner that Sonia Gandhi held on the 16th of May. Harkishan Singh Surjeet took you. How did Sonia Gandhi receive you?
See, at the first outset, I am very ashamed that I went there. I should not have gone there.
Because you weren't invited?
I was not invited. Of course, I know Sonia Gandhi's style. She is very prim and proper. She will draft a nice letter, a very polite letter. Then she will personally speak. So that European ethos, the culture of inviting nicely and properly is there.
But Harkishan Singh
So,
Surjit prevailed upon you.
Harkishan Singh Surjit said, the venue is Sonia Gandhi's house. All the forces who are responsible for this day, for the installation of a non-BJP government, they are assembling there. And we are 63, you are 40, and together we are 103. I will go in your car. I will sit with you. Just to avoid that visit to 10 Janpad, I said, you are inviting me to come with you, but how can I go without Ajit Singh? Mr. Surjit said that, okay, take him along as well. And there was a party decision in my party, parliamentary board decision, that will fall behind Harkishan Singh Surjit in this entire endeavor of formation of non-BJP government.
So you only went because Harkishan Singh Surjit asked you to go.
He forced me to come.
And you didn't want to say no to him.
Question does not arise.
How did Sonia Gandhi receive you when you arrived?
She was very, first of all, when we went there, normally it has never happened. I have visited Janpath many times. We were not told to go inside, including Mr. Surjit. We were made to sit outside in a small chair. And Mr. Ahmad Patel received us. He went in. And after 5 minutes he came out and he said, please come. Each one sitting in the room, particularly from Congress side, except Ghulam Nabi Azad, gave me a very, very cold look. If looks can kill, I was almost killed. And then Ram Ramesh, my friend, dear friend, he started reading the name of allies, and he did not read out our party's name, or he did not read my name. At this I said, what for I am brought here? And it seems as if I am unwanted, and this is not on. I am also here to lend support. I am not here to take something out of you, I am here to give something to you. At this, to be fair to Comrade A.B. Bardhan, he intervened and he said that Samajwadi Party's name should be included. Then the discussion about the format of support being given to Sonia Gandhi to become Prime Minister was being discussed. I said, where is the format? I am also prepared to put my signature there. There was no response. That is why I was forced to go to President, and my language was under the advice of the left parties, particularly Mr. Surjit, and in the absence of any viable secular alternative, we are forced to support Indian National Congress led secular government. Ours was the only letter which did not mention Sonia as Prime Minister.
You made two very important points today for the first time, I believe, in public. The first is that you were not welcomed warmly when you arrived for that dinner. In fact, as you said, if looks could kill, you would have been dead.
100%, particularly Arjun Singh's look. The look was that of hatred and contempt, and our presence was not even acknowledged by Mr. Ram Ramesh, and I don't blame him, poor fellow. He is working not for me.
What about Sonia Gandhi herself? Was she welcoming or was she humiliating in the way she treated you?
Madam Sonia Gandhi did not look at me.
At all?
At all.
Not once?
Not once. She did not talk to me at all. But because Surjit did not go to her table, Surjit was sitting with me so as to pacify me and my hurt feelings. And he went there in my car and he came back in my car. While Surjit was returning from her place, Natwar Singh was coming in, and Sonia ji said, oh Natwar, you are late. And she greeted Surjit while he was leaving. And
but at no point did she greet you?
Then I greeted her, because she was sitting just by my side.
And what did she say?
Nothing, she, a cold nod, that's all.
A cold nod.
Yeah.
The second important point you've made is that you would have preferred to be part of the format being put together by Congress and their allies to support Congress, but because your name was not read out by Ram Ramesh, you were forced to send your own letter separately to the President.
I personally went and gave, because I don't want to send a signal to my electorate that in any way I am responsible for rocking the boat of secularism.
Quite right.
In spite of Congress calling me a beggar and dog and gate crusher. The story did not end there, Karan. Leaders like Salman Khurshid and Abhika Soni said that uninvited, only beggars and dogs, they go. And he is a great crusher. This was official statement of Abhika Soni. And they have not read the Indian culture and Vedas, where it is said that Atithi Devo Bhav, the guest is God. whether invited or uninvited. But I don't expect leadership of Congress to read Veda and the Indian culture.
Things clearly got off to the worst possible start at that dinner. But since the United Progressive Alliance government has been formed, three other things have happened. Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi have both visited Uttar Pradesh. They've both publicly criticized the state of law and order. How do you view the fact that people who are theoretically your allies are publicly criticizing your government?
Well, I will simply say that they think that Uttar Pradesh is their fiefdom. And journalists like my friend Rajdeep Sardesai and NDTV and the cephalogist, they said that this time the entire family, Sonia Gandhi, Rahul ji, Priyanka, everybody has campaigned to cohesively. So Samajwadi Party is going down the dump and Congress share will increase and we will be marginalized. On the contrary, their seat got reduced, their voting percentage came down. And
so you're saying you don't care what Congress
I'm not
says?
saying that, I'm not that arrogant. In that Sonia land, the Pratapgarh, they lost. The Amethi, Rahulji won, but they could not make the victory of their family retainer Satish Sharma possible in Sultanpur.
In other words, you're saying regardless of what they may say about law and order in UP, actually the truth is the Gandhis can't even retain what you call their own family stronghold.
Well, what about law and order? I would like to know, today the Delhi newspaper, there is a news that in Delhi a lady was picked up and gang raped. A lieutenant general of the army, he is shot in broad daylight.
In other words, it's happening in Delhi, it's happening in UP. But unfortunately...
No, it is, I'm not justifying if there is a crime. But it is our responsibility to combat that. But that does not mean that we are being selectively targeted for that. In a country where there is disparity, there is inequality, there is unemployment, such things will happen. But we are being selectively targeted.
It's not just Sonia Gandhi and Rahul that have targeted you. Shri Prakash Jaiswal, the junior Home Minister, has established direct contact with the UP Chief Secretary and the Chief of Police. Jagdambe Kapal, the UP leader, has actually called for a white paper against your government, and he's publicly staged 1 week of agitation and demonstration. How do you respond to that?
Well, I'll tell you that this is unheard of, that a Union Minister is summoning DGP Chief without taking state government in cognizance. If I do that, I cannot do this with the Union Home Secretary. This is against the federal structure and system. And if they have got any guts, let them do this. Let Suraj Patil and Jaiswal call DGP and Police Commissioner of left-ruled state.
In other words, what they've done is wrong.
It is unconstitutional. They don't know what is the Constitution has directed, what the Constitution says about this aspect.
What about Jagdambe Kapal, allegedly your ally, allegedly supporting your government in Lucknow, holding a week of public agitation against the government?
In such a show which is going to be telecast all over the world, I don't want to mention about this gentleman, and he is simply saying what he is told to say, and the reason for his utterance is simple, that they think that we are grabber of secular space in UP, and as long as it is not the BJP which is their enemy, it is, they treat us not as rival but enemy, because they think that if
they treat you as enemies,
not as rival, yeah, because they
so
think
it's even worse. Rivals are bad enough because you're supposed to be allies, but they're treating you even worse. They're treating you as enemies.
Of course, because they think that we have grabbed their family fiefdom, we have grabbed their secular space, and until unless we are taken care of, we are ticked off from UP scene, they don't have any chance, they don't have any scope. They will have to be dependent on left parties, and they will keep opposing FDI, and they will remain restless, and their dream of ruling India.
So that's the problem. Samajwadi Party, you're claiming, is undermining the Congress dream of ruling India, because until they can capture UP from you, they can't rule India.
Of course.
So you're undermining them. You're undermining their dream.
We are not doing it willfully. What do we do if the people of the Uttar Pradesh, in spite of Atal Bihari Vajpayee vigorously campaigning for Samajwadi Party, and in spite of Sonia Gandhi and Rahul ji and Priyanka ji campaigning against us, in spite of Mayawati doing all sort of things against us, if we get 40, is it our crime? If the people of Uttar Pradesh, the 19 crore of people of Uttar Pradesh, in spite of English media, elitist media, in spite of collective onslaught, if they support Samajwadi Party, Mulayam Singh and Amar Singh, it is not our crime. I salute the people of Uttar Pradesh that in spite of
Quite
all
right.
odds they are with us.
That's a fair point, because it's the people who are giving you votes. Now, recently, the centre has just changed the governor of Uttar Pradesh. Were you consulted, as is required by the Sarkaria Commission recommendations, or was this simply presented to you as a fait accompli?
Congress party does not believe in the culture of consultation.
So you weren't consulted?
They believe in the culture of giving information. Like a feudal lord, Right Honorable Union Home Minister Shivraj Patil picked up phone and informed Mr. Mulayam Singh Yadav, my leader, party's president and chief minister of Uttar Pradesh, Mr. Yadav, we have decided to send Mr. Rajeshwar as governor. But let me tell you, we are quite happy with Rajeshwar.
Except for the fact that Mulayam Singh Yadav has publicly complained that TV Rajeshwar, the new governor, has tried to establish direct contact with officials like magistrates and police officers in Raebareli and Lucknow. You've objected to that?
No. Mulayam Singh ji has never said that.
The papers have quoted him?
No. Papers might have said that, but Mulayam Singh is responsible enough not to air such comment about a constitutional authority called governor.
Okay.
That is the difference between Congress and Mulayam Singh.
Okay.
He's a very seasoned politician.
You've clarified the matter that you haven't said anything publicly critical of the new governor, Mr. Rajeshwar, but you've also said that you were not consulted,
yes,
that you were simply told, and in other words, he was imposed upon you without your saying yes or no.
Well, I will not say that he will be imposed because he is already there. But it is for you to imply whatever you want to.
Okay. Let me come to something else. It's not just in UP that you have trouble with the government or with the Congress party. When Arjun Singh, the Human Resource Development Minister, held a conference on minority education in Delhi, your party was pointedly not invited, although you have a substantial Muslim vote share. Why were you kept out?
Well, I am not surprised with Arjun Singh's behavior when he was HRD minister in the previous avatar for the Gandhi Centenary Celebration Committee. He appointed Atal Bihari Vajpayee as chairman. Had he not been around, there would have been an alliance between us and Congress.
Mr. Amar Singh, this is not Arjun Singh alone. Do you really believe that Arjun Singh decided to keep out the Samajwadi Party without consulting, without informing Mrs. Gandhi?
I don't think so. It is not possible. It is not possible within the gambit and format of Congress party.
So once again,
nobody goes in TV shows without taking party line. It is a people talk about left and RSS regimentation. I think the kind of regimentation is there in Congress. There is a media committee, there is a line which is given. So whether it is Ambika Soni ridiculing Amar Singh for gate crashing and calling him beggar and dog, or it is Salman Khurshid ridiculing us, or Arjun Singh not inviting Samajwadi Party, preferring BSP, which has held confabulation politically.
You're saying, let's not get lost in the details. You're saying Sonia Gandhi's hand is clearly visible behind all of this.
I have given her a word that I will never ever criticize her in public. So I will not take her name in person.
But the High Command, as it's called in India, is clearly visible behind all of this.
Well, High Command, yes, I will say that. High Command of the Congress party.
The High Command of the Congress party, you're saying, is responsible for the deterioration in relations between the Samajwadi Party and the Congress party.
Karan, you are a journalist. If you are an editor of a paper and even without your knowledge, if something nasty appears, which is not justifiable, as an editor, you will have to take responsibility.
And similarly, the High Command takes responsibility.
Whether there is a direct hand, indirect hand, visible hand, invisible hand, they cannot escape from the responsibility.
Isn't this why Mulayam Singh Yadav on the 12th of July called the Congress party an untrustworthy partner?
Of course.
Isn't this why just 3 days later, you yourself said, the Congress party is autocratic, but I warn it, we will not surrender before it?
Yes, I also said, हम झुक के मिल रहे हैं तो कमजोर मत समझ फलदार साख है लचकती जरूर.
In other words, to translate, you're saying, even if we bend, don't think we're weak, we're only doing it out of respect.
Not out of respect, out of ideological compulsion. And the branch which carries fruit, it comes down.
Is the Congress party taking you for granted, or does the Congress party not care about you? Which is it?
Both.
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 You're actually saying the Congress party doesn't care about the Samajwadi Party?
They are not caring about left parties. They are crying now. They are not being consulted.
There's one big difference. The left parties at least can bite, as Mr. Yechuri colorfully told us 2 weeks ago. In your case, the Congress believes you can't bite because they believe you don't have teeth.
Well, the only time will tell whether we have got teeth or not, but even if you have got teeth, we don't have any intention to bite, because we don't want to be held responsible for rocking the secular boat.
But tell me something. There are serious disagreements between you on almost every side, on almost every case. And as you said, this is because the Congress is in fact not being fair to you. How long will you continue to support this government?
Well, it's a game of patience and tolerance, and there is no need to act in haste. What was done to me, the public humiliation, and then the bravado expressed by Congress, it will cost them dearly, because all the constituent of Congress party and ours, they are almost of the same pattern. The minorities of India have seen the Samajwadi party has gone.
I'm interrupting you. You said it will cost them dearly.
Yeah, it will.
In other words, a time will come when your patience will run out.
I am not saying that. As and when after 5 years, when election will come, I can go to people and I can say, look what we have done. In spite of being humiliated, heckled, in spite of being called beggar and dog, in spite of not being invited, we have gone and given support.
Even Congress says that the Samajwadi party is two-timing, that on the same side as supporting us, they're also flirting with the BJP.
Well, the ideologically and on many points, there's the economic policies. BJP and Congress, they are one. And if Ghulam Nabi Azad as Parliamentary Affairs Minister, he goes to Atal Bihari Vajpayee's residence, then it is not called hobnobbing, it is his political compulsion that he is going to consult about.
But if Amar Singh goes, it becomes a problem.
Because Honorable Atal Bihari Vajpayee is Member of Parliament from Lucknow. If he needs some work done and if he calls me, I will not say that you, Mr. Vajpayee, you take appointment and come to me. I will go to him.
And that's the only reason why you went.
100%.
So Congress has double standards when they accuse Samajwadi of flirting.
Let me tell you.
We were running out of time, so we only 10 seconds. Congress has double standards.
Double standard, double speak, because if I am hand in glove with BJP and Atal Bihari Vajpayee, then I would have helped him electorally. That I have not done.
Mr. Amar Singh, a pleasure having you on Hardtalk India.
Thank you very much.